Hello everyone. In this lesson we're going to take a look at covalent bonds and Lewis structures, and we're just going to look at some simple binary compounds for now. We're going to name them, and these aren't actually compounds, they're just molecules because they only contain one type of atom. And we're going to draw their Lewis structures. So we're going to start with fluorine. This is just fluorine if I was naming it, because it does not contain more than one element. It doesn't have to obey any naming rules. It's just the element fluorine. Now, F2 tells me I have two fluorine atoms bonded together. And if we go to the electron dot diagram or Lewis diagram, we know that fluorine has 7 valence electrons. One of those is unpaired. Generally speaking, it's really easy to come up with Lewis structures for simple compounds because it's the unpaired electrons that form bonds. When we get into more complicated things, we'll see that there's some other rules. Now, if I have two fluorines, that means I have two of these things, and I can see that this unpaired electron and that unpaired electron will actually overlap in the same orbital, and they will be attracted to both nuclei and will form a covalent bond. That's what we call a single covalent bond, because one pair of electrons is shared between the two atoms. And so here's the Lewis structure, and you can see that it obeys the octet rule. The fluorine atoms have 2, 4, 6, 8 valence electrons. 2, 4, 6, 8 valence electrons. That dash or line between the two atoms indicates a bond, and it includes 2 electrons, one from each atom. So these are called lone pairs, these pairs out here that do not bond, and the bonding pairs are represented by dashes. And it gets to count for both atoms because those bonded electrons are shared between both atoms. So you can see that each atom is 2, 4, 6, 8 valence electrons. It's obeying the octet rule. Oxygen is going to do a similar thing, except that oxygen, you'll remember, has, name it, oxygen. Oxygen has only 6 valence electrons, but it's fairly easy to see that this one can bond with that one, and this one can bond with that one, and so when oxygen forms bonds with itself, it will form a double bond. And so we just write the Lewis structure like that. We still are obeying the octet rule, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Every lone electron got its pair. This is oxygen, but this has got 2 bonds, or 2 bonding pairs between the atoms. And so where this only has 1, we call it a single bond. This one has 2, we call it creatively a double bond. And then I'll bet you can predict what happens here with nitrogen. Nitrogen is in group 15. It has 5 valence electrons, so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, we'll see that this pair and this pair and this pair, or singles I guess, can all match up and form bonding pairs, so we get nitrogen triple bonded to that other nitrogen atom. So this is what we call a triple bond.